Now, for quite a while, I have been thinking about getting one of the Navy battleships. However, the main problem is to basically decide which one do I want to fly. Now, I did try all of them out, and they're all fantastic ships. At the moment, I'm kind of leaning towards the Raven Navy, and I'm also kind of leaning towards the Tempest Navy. The Raven Navy because it reminds me on the Golem a lot, and that thing is ridiculously tanky. I think it's the tankiest battleship in the game at the moment. And I'm also leaning towards the Tempest Navy because I already have some very good skills for cannons. I think I maxed out the expert cannon skills quite recently, so I would definitely get the maximum performance out of that ship. And I also have a high level barrage implant. And the Tempest Navy is also really tanky. It has amazing shield stats and can also be a armor tank in some cases. However, I have been flying the Megathron Navy quite often lately. This is not my ship. My friend basically borrowed me to use it for a while, and the ship has been performing really well so far. Now, when we look at armor, the armor navy ships definitely work in a slightly different way. You can basically enhance them even more with the thermocirculation implant, which is the thing that I will be doing in this video here. And when we look at the armor navy options, I mean, I think there's two of them, well technically three, it depends on how you look at it. Megathron Navy and the Apocalypse Navy, and of course the Tempest Navy if you decide to make the Tempest Navy a armor tank, since it doesn't really specify that it is a shield tank. Well, you have this ship trait icon that kind of tells you that it's a shield tank ship, but it can do both. Primarily shield, but in some cases, since it is a Mimitar ship, it can also do armor. But I have a very good thermocirculation implant, and the Megathron Navy worked really well so far with that implant, and the Apocalypse Navy also worked really well when I used it. The thing with the Apocalypse Navy is that this ship is really good for sniping. Can be a good tank, can be used as the Paladin, but the main thing about the Apocalypse Navy isn't really the tank, it's DPS. And it kind of replaces the Apocalypse Striker in some cases, although the Apocalypse Striker is still really good. So the word replace, I wouldn't really use the word replace, since both ships are really good, and their prices are also, I would say, much better than they used to be. The Apocalypse Navy might be the most expensive one, I believe, or the Raven Navy. The Raven is actually very cheap, and 1.8 billion actually. This pulls my finger to buy it, since this is actually quite cheap for this ship. But I must stay strong until I decide which one I want to fly. Now, the thing with the I did say that I want to. Let me quickly show you the skills that I have on this thing first. Now, obviously, my Railgun expert skills aren't maxed out, but I'm working on that. I have maxed out cannon skills, so on the Tempest it would definitely take advantage of its full-on bonus. Now, the Megathron Navy here is primarily a armor tank. It has a good shield, but it's a Galante ship, and they're already known to have very good armors, so a armor tank on this thing is definitely the way to go. And the Navy ships have some really crazy stats attached to them. Now, they used to have a very short shield recharge, but that has been patched a long time ago, so the recharge time is obviously not going to be what it used to be. It used to be 300 seconds, now it's 42,000 seconds, which is quite big of a nerf, if you ask me. However, the shield resistances are going to be really high, and the armor resistance are also going to be really high on all of these ships. So in the case of the Megathron Navy, we're looking at armor, although it has some very good shield stats, not gonna lie, it has some really good default stats, but the main thing about this thing is the armor. 67.5, 57.75, 58.56 and 41.5% resistance on the armor. It has really good capacitors, it can lock 8 targets, and of course it's not slow but it's not fast. It's a Galanta ship, so it's somewhere in between, not slow but not too fast. So that's one thing that I wanted to show. Now, the build. Cold, it has about 82, 77, 71 and 77% resistances. When I go and change the implants for the thermal circulation implant, the tank will be a lot higher. 86, 81, 77 and 81% resistance. This is on default. 328,164 hit points, 45,411 in shield. Now I use this ship primarily for PvE. It is a PvE tank build. 9 km optimal, 16.58 is the average fall-off, tracking 10.54. And in the medium slots I have one Nosferatu, triple webs, 2 random drones, dual armor repairs. They repair 1047 every 7.26 seconds. I don't have a general unit for armor repairs installed at the moment, but pretty good for default. 1 damage control and triple adaptives. Now this is not my ship, this is my friend's ship, and they definitely did show a lot of love to this thing. It has some very nice integrations installed and a tier 4 anti-explosive rig, which does bring this ship to some very nice stats, and it looks honestly really good on paper. Now, as for the nanocore, I don't have any nanocore on this ship. I thought about buying a core and basically to bring it over here, but not really sure which one to take. If I were to take a nanocore, it's definitely going to be maybe a blue, maybe a green one, I don't know. Something that's not going to break the... I mean, this core looks awesome. The skin alone on this thing looks absolutely amazing. The Galante Recruit core looks awesome, and I mean, just look at the ship, it just looks gorgeous. Serpentis Veteran also looks very good, and the Galante Veteran core also looks really good. I think if I were to go with another core, it will be this one or the Galante Recruit core. Not really sure which one I'll take, but both look pretty awesome. When we're on the topic of nanocore, let me just check how much it costs, since the price is also something that I have to keep in mind. Battleship core, what is the Megathron? That's Minmatar Galante Battleship. There it is. Well, it's not on the market, unfortunately. Of course, the nanocore that I really want doesn't show on the market. It's typical. Oh well. Let me unlock and let me show you the active stats on this thing, and also let me show the DPS that you can get on this ship. So all adaptives are on. 590,000 hit points, 94, 92, 90 and 92% resistances. Yikes, this is tanky. This is a very tanky boat, and with the damage control active, you do get 1.5 million hit points, which is ridiculous. It can even be higher. If I were to do the integrations, it would definitely be a bit different, and most likely the stats would be a little bit higher, but that's just me. Now, the DPS in the siege mode is 2024.15. Honestly, this thing is not really this Megathron here is not really designed to be a DPS machine. It's designed to be a tank, but it should have some very good DPS. Now, where is this drone? Let me quickly charge the thermal circulation implant. The thermal circulation implant kicks in at 70 hit, and you have to be careful not to basically have to be careful not to let the implant to overheat. If you do that, it might be a little bit problematic, since you lose DPS and you are not going to be able to do much for a whole minute until it until it doesn't cool down. But if you're careful, you will get a very decent DPS boost. Now when the implant is, it still has the same effect, by the way, but once you get above 30 hit, the effect of the thermal circulation should go down, and now it's 92, 90, 90, and 88%, almost 500,000 hit points, 500,000 hit points on this thing, which is kind of scary when you think about it. So let's just wait a little bit more until the thermal circulation is fully charged. It will happen very soon. You can charge the implant on the drone, on the station, on asteroid belts, on the gates, on anything. It's pretty good thing, pretty interesting thing that you can do with the thermal circulation implants, and also works with the high power coil. 2009.22 DPS, and when siege mode is up, let me pull back the drone. With the siege mode up, it's 3195.74 DPS, which is not bad, quite tanky, and has some decent DPS. Alright, so what else can I technically do on the builds on this thing? Well, honestly, I could easily change the... Oh, X of aggression. Wait, what? I can dock? Okay, that's... Oh yeah, it's a citadel. Oh, okay, yeah, I forgot. I got confused for a second. Well, when I dock, I'll just show you one more idea that you can do with a Megathron, or basically with any other Navy ship. And one idea that you will see me using in this video. So it already has a very good tank here. So you can easily, if you are in Sunshore armor space, you can use a reactive shield hardener, or in my case, I would use a afterburn, and I'll still have some good stats, still some good resistances, and decent tank, as well as a decent capacitor. You can also basically add a dual Nosferatu build if you like. It will definitely improve the capacitor a lot, but in PvE I figured out a triple Nos build for solo is definitely the way to go for now. Alright, well, that was basically the little intro, and now let's undock and let's take this ship for a ride. Let's see how it will perform. Now, it might not sound like it, but I'm actually doing this for the second time today. The recorder crashed like a minute before I was actually finishing up with the voice part. So yeah, now I have to do everything again. Anyway, before I thought about buying a new Navy battleship, I actually thought about getting a carrier. Now obviously, as you can see, I am not flying a carrier, I don't have one, but I may change my mind. Now the reason why I didn't buy one was I have that feeling that my carrier would get yeeted in the first day of me using it, and that's one of the main reasons why I didn't buy one. Now, I didn't give up on getting a carrier. There's a good chance that I will buy one very soon, but I don't know. It feels like it would be kind of a... Let's say that it feels like a mistake if I buy a carrier, since getting ISK is quite difficult, and I have to be very careful with what I do with my ISK here. So yeah, that's one thing. Now, I do enjoy flying the battleships. The Navy battleships are definitely a very good addition to the ships that I already have and to the ships that I already fly. I have been using this Navy ship for PvE specifically. Now again, this isn't my ship. My friend did borrow me the ship to use it for, well, not there is no time frame, but basically when I have to do PvE, I'm basically allowed to use the Megathron Navy, and this ship is honestly really fun, and it does have an amazing tank, and it does come with some very good DPS as well. Now this is a Sancha tier 10 anomaly, Inquisitor anomaly, and most of the, well, actually a lot of my ISK nowadays does come from PvE. Now I basically do the special sites. I do open the boxes, and they do contain, in most cases, some very nice blueprints. And recently I started to do a lot of industry related stuff. I started to build blueprints. I started to build modules, rigs, ships, and stuff like that, and it's been really profitable so far. I made a lot of ISK doing industry, and it is I find it very interesting because I haven't really spent any ISK on materials. I haven't bought any blueprints from the market. Everything that I have basically was found through playing the game. Now the one thing that is definitely had some ISK investment is definitely the click cost. Now you know when you open the industry tab and when you click on the blueprint, then you click on the manufacturer, you have that ISK cost. That basically is a cost that it's required to put in order to start manufacturing the blueprint. Well, that's basically the only thing where I actually put some ISK in, and that's usually cheap, like $1 million, less than $1 million, 100,000 ISK. It is honestly ridiculously cheap, and the overall profit in the end is amazing. I mean, I have like 10 laser burst aerator rigs that I started cooking last night. That's like 300 million per rig, so that's an estimate of about around billion ISK from those 10 blueprints. And the cost for me the click cost was like, what was it, $1 million, something like that, something small. So yeah, that was quite profitable, and all of that was found doing Inquisitor and Scout sites. Now Inquisitors drop the blueprints for shield rigs, laser rigs. It really depends on the region where you're at. The Scouts drop drone related stuff, and from the Scouts I did get some very nice offense and assault drone blueprints, large ones. I still haven't built them, but I plan on doing that very soon. The reason why I haven't built them, I actually don't know. I never really went on my building list. I was mostly focused on the modules, rigs, stuff like that. But I may go and build those offense drones next. Overall, that's like 1.5 or even 2 billion ISK just from drones. So from 2 drones. So that's been fantastic. And that's been made with this ship. Now I already talked about how lasers aren't really that good versus armor, and in this case, in Sancha space, since the pirate ships here use lasers, it is actually very easy to tank them with a armor tank. Now my tank on this ship at the moment is a bit over the top, just no denying it. I mean, definitely over the top. I can technically tank a Dead Space anomaly easily with this thing, without breaking a sweat. That's just how tanky it is. But in this case, if I had a reactive armor hardener. That would do that would definitely significantly reduce the incoming damage even more, since the reactive shield and reactive armor hardeners are really effective against weapons that have single or dual damage types, like drones, lasers, and aliens. Now, on armor, you definitely want to tank. You want to tank lasers on armor, since you already have default high armor resistance on EM and thermal, which makes armor the perfect way to tank lasers on, and that's why the laser ships like the Apocalypse, the Harbin, Abaddon, stuff like that, have a hard time to go through an armor tank of a proper armor tank battleship, with a tank build, of course. Meanwhile, the railguns do struggle against shields, but they shred armors in most cases. So, in Blood Raider space, Amar space, in Sancha space, preferably you should use a armor tank ship for tanking the lasers. Now, they also do have tracking disruptors, which do make missiles and drones work better, since your weapon stats will not be affected if you're using drones or if you're using missiles. However, it's not really that bad if you're using turrets. I mean, I use the Megathron Navy here, and as you can see, it is performing really well. It doesn't have any problems with hitting targets. It's really a very solid ship. I have no complaints about its performance so far. Now, as for the capacitor related stuff, the Sancha ships are capacitor heavy. Now what does that mean? Well, when I say capacitor heavy, it means that they really are trying to kill your capacitor. The elite ships will bring Nosferatus and neutralizers. The later waves are kind of built with neutralizers and Nosferatus, and with that you want to have a decent capacitor recharge on your ship. Now, on the Megathron Navy, it's not really that noticeable, since this thing has a very good capacitor by default. It's a very good capacitor. After all, it's a Galanta ship. Galanta and Amar ships tend to have some very good capacitors. Now,
we're under attack.
You will not see a big impact. Even if you're a shield tank, if you're a shield tank, you might see some problems with the capacitor, since the shield boosters do use a bit more capacitor than armor repairs. The armor repairs are generally a lot easier on the capacitor of your ship, since they take a while to repair. They have a longer cycle, but the energy used, the capacitor used, is much smaller than the energy used in the shield boosters. So it means that this makes armor tank good in its own way, since it is very easy on the capacitor, and in this case you want to make sure that your capacitor is in a very good shape. After all, no capacitor, no tank, and your ship is in trouble. So far, one Nosferatu and one capacitor battery seem to be working really well. Now, of course, I'm well aware that in most cases you don't really have to have a insane tank like this. This tank is just really good, and for a Inquisitor or Scout anomaly, this tank is a little bit over the top, but I thought it would be a good example of what this ship can.
Attack.
Now, is it like the highest possible tank that you can get on the ship? Well, not really. I'm fairly sure I could have, if I were allowed, of course, I would be able to pull out that tier 4 rig and use another 4P or 3P integration for various armor resistances and even armor pairs. So you could definitely make this Megathron even tankier, but again, this is not my ship, and out of respect to my friend, I don't want to break anything on this ship, so I will be using it the way I
We're
got it.
under attack.
I may change some of the modules, but in the end, I will definitely put back everything in its place as I have received the ship. So, out of respect, I have to keep the ship the way I have received it. I mean, would be bad if I break the rigs. You know, it's not cheap. Wasn't cheap to build, so I have to respect that. So, I mean, the build that my friend has on this ship is amazing. I love it. This thing is really tanky, and I can kind of see why. I mean, our corp isn't really used to have
We're
a
under
secure home
attack.
system. We aren't really used to be in an alliance. We have been, for the most part, solo for like 3-4 years now, and we couldn't rely on anyone else besides our corp and besides on our own ship. So our ships are built to be able to last for as long as possible, and they're also built to basically be able to tank a whole fleet for a while before reinforcements arrives. And when I say reinforcement, I mean our own corp members responding to a distress call, or basically response to a fleet that may happen to come into our home system. So yeah, we still do have to get used to having a home. Well, having a home. We have several different homes, but this is like I think our first ever deep null home that we can actually call home, a safe home if you can call it like that. And the first time that we are actually quite engaged in a big alliance. Up until that moment, we have been mostly on our own, and we haven't had a big alliance ever since the corp's creation. Actually, last time I was in a big alliance was back in the Catch 22 days. Though I mean, those were the good days. I loved that alliance. It was so fun, but unfortunately, things obviously. There were signs on the road that it wouldn't last long, unfortunately, but those were very fun days, and happy to be playing with the same players that I met there. We never actually we never parted ways. In a way, we have always been in contact, which is a very good thing. And some of the players that did have a break from the game are now actually coming back. So I'm more than happy to meet the old school group that I used to play with back in the RB days. That was a fun period in the game. Cannot believe that it's been like three plus years since this game has been launched. As I said in that, what was it called? In the
We're under
content
attack.
creator congratulatory message. You know the thing that the developers have released recently, and I think they also have added it in the live stream. It was also added in the live stream, I believe. So when I said that it was a blast, I mean it. It was really a blast playing this game. It's been a journey, and it's been an awesome journey so far. I enjoyed it from start to finish. I mean, there is no finish line, of course, but you know, I'll enjoy it until the very last moment. So it's been a fantastic journey so far, and I'm very glad that you guys are also part of it. Now, this is, what wave was this? Actually, no. We have finished with the Inquisitor. No, this is Scout anomaly. For the Inquisitor, my friends wanted to join. I let them in. I also kind of wanted to have some backup, because recently I had some very weird power outages, and having a dreadnought watching your back is making me feel secure. So didn't want to risk disconnecting and basically not being able to log in, since I would have no electricity and I would have no way of saving the ship if that happen. So I did ask my friend, and they wanted to join, so that was very nice to have a dreadnought helping out. Now for this scout, I will be mostly, I think I'll be completely alone actually. My friends had work to do, so they logged out. Hopefully my my electricity doesn't get cut. I mean, I could technically, actually I can't use data right now because I also have I have no signal for some reason. It's been a very rough week weather-wise. It's been constantly raining and thunderstorms all over me, so and no wonder that I have no data connection. Usually when I have a storm, the cellular data just dies, just disappears. So that on top of power outage, I'd be dead squared. So yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen while flying this ship. And knowing my luck, usually my luck knows to run out when I'm flying expensive ships. That's one of the reasons why I actually stopped, for the most part, stopped flying ships that are ridiculously expensive. I do have some of them that are expensive, like the Revelation. It has X types, but when was the last time I rolled out the Revelation? It's been a while. Now speaking of the Revelation, I kind of wanted to talk about one of the there is one very important reason why I actually like to use a battleship over a carrier when running the special sites here. You know the 120 seconds that you get, or the delay that you get when you activate the network mode or the sensor mode on the carrier? Well, if it happens that you turn on the sensor modes, the moment when a hostile interceptor jumps in, you can't really do anything in those 120 seconds. That's basically you have to wait for them. You can't warp, you can't turn the mode off. You have to wait through the 120 seconds. And
we're under attack.
If the interceptor does come to you, you have two options.
We're
basically.
under attack.
One option would be to have fighters that are fast, that can kill the interceptor. The other option is to have your team at standby, or basically your alliance to help you out if you get tackled, since a carrier in nullsec is usually glass, usually has no tank, has fighter arrays, a micro object guides, and the rest are probably some boosters, some inertial stabilizers, things like that. So you will be quite vulnerable to battleships, and that one interceptor that decides to tackle you is 100% not alone. You can bet that there's going to be like 10, 20 battleships on top of you in the next minute. So if that happens, you will most likely lose the carrier, since you can kill maybe 5, maybe 10 of them, but you wouldn't have much tank in your carrier if it's full glass, since I know most carriers go for full DPS for maximum efficiency, just to clear them as quickly as possible. It's good, since it does basically print ISK. It's bad because if it gets tackled, it's game over. If you don't have support on time, if the support is slow, there is a little chance that you can survive with that type of ship. You can kill 5 of them, you can kill 10 of them, but the other 10 will kill you. So it's very difficult to kill the whole fleet before they kill you if you are a glass build. A tanky carrier is a whole different beast. A tanky carrier can easily last for quite a while until the reinforcement arrives. You you actually have a good chance to kill the fleet. Of course, there's cases when they drop capitals on you, but I mean, it is quite difficult to sneak in capitals when, let's say, you have a Sinojammer in every system. That would be quite a challenge to actually put capitals inside of someone's home that has like Sinojammers all over the place. In that case, a sub-capital fleet would be the largest threat. Or, you know, you have a blue spy that turns off the jammer, and then they sneak in a whole capital fleet right on your nose. I have no idea if that has ever happened in this game at the moment, but that's something that I would be looking out for if you are flying something expensive. Always have that in your mind, that there is always a spy everywhere. There's spies. Every alliance has spies. There's just no denying it. Every single alliance out there has spies, and that's just how it is. That's just how it is. Some of the spies could potentially be in a high ranking position, and they can easily turn off a Sinojammer without anyone noticing, and then while everyone is sleeping overnight, let's say couple super carriers just spawn, couple, well, let's say 20 carriers, 20 dreadnoughts just spawn and just log out. And when you wake up, log in, and you see there's nothing out of the ordinary. You take your super capital out for a spin, and then in the next 10 minutes, a massive local spike. You see like 50 reds, and a interdictor landing on you, a bubble up, and the rest is history. The next is a dead super capital. I have no idea if that happened yet in the game. It will probably happen at some point. If it didn't happen, it will happen. It's just how things go. So yeah, that's just what can happen. One of the possibilities of what can happen, especially if you're finding something quite juicy. If a blue tackle, if a spy sees something juicy, you can bet that they'll make plans to try and get it. I mean, I have seen already, like, I've seen like 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 4 dead super capitals so far, maybe more. The recent dead super capital was a blue one, and that one died in a very sad way. I say sad way, I mean funny way. The pilot flying it fell asleep, and it got killed by sub-capitals. They didn't even need, they didn't even bring dreadnoughts or carriers. A sub-capital fleet killed that. I think it was a hell. Was 1.3 or 1.5. Let's go with 1.3 billion ISK. So it wasn't, obviously it wasn't expensive. It wasn't cheap. It's a juicy target, and the pilot did fall asleep and, well, got tackled. I see a lot of ships die that way. It's kinda interesting. I mean, who am I to talk about players falling asleep in their expensive ships? I fell asleep in the Revelation on the gate like 100 times by now. I don't know, I kinda stopped counting. It's been happening so often that I installed a clocking device on my Revelation, and every time I sense that I'm about to sleep, I cloak, and my ship just stayed in space the whole night like that. Kinda funny. And scary. How many times did I wake up with asking me, did I dock or did I cloak? What did I do last time? And then I look at my phone and oops, I was cloaked. Yeah. That's how it goes. The scariest part is that I did that with a X-type ship. It had X-types. I mean, it still has X-types installed on it.
We're under attack.
And someone asked me how much was my Revelation worth in ISK. You know, that's a good question. I don't even know how much X-types cost nowadays. They're probably quite expensive, that's for sure. But I have dual X-type capital armor repairs. I think I also have at least 2 X-type armor hardeners, and I think I have a bunch of A types and B types as well. So I have no idea how much that costs. If I have to make a guess, maybe half a super capital. That's how much it costs. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that much, but probably half a super capital, which is quite impressive for a dreadnought. Probably not the most expensive dreadnought, but it definitely one of the tankiest dreadnoughts in the game. Was able to withstand 1.3 million DPS at least. That's an achievement that I'm proud of. Was able to tank over 1 million DPS. Never rated for that. Never rated it for over 1 million DPS. I always thought like 300, 400,000 DPS should be tankable. Nope, 1.1 plus million DPS. That's how much that thing was able to tank. Not for long though. I mean, it tanked for a while, but definitely never expected it to live through that type of DPS, but it did. So that's one of the rare occasions where my ridiculous expensive builds actually was worth it. If I didn't have that ridiculous build, things would definitely be different. But you know, I'm very happy that I'm able to look like to see 100 steps ahead of what's going to happen, and I am able to easily fit accordingly. So I'm able to save my ship, I'm able to save my friends' ships, and I'm able to save a lot of different ships by sharing a very tanky build that I know for a fact has saved a lot of ships from pirates, has saved a lot of ships from destruction, and it did in some cases buy enough time for reinforcements to arrive to help the ship that got tackled. So it has a very nice purpose. So so far clearing this scout really well. Always important to have the alliance chat visible. In my case, I actually I do rely on the alliance chat, but I also have my own scout couple systems down the road. Basically, my scout is positioned in such a way that when I see something, when I see someone or some ship jump in, if it's a hostile or a neutral, I actually have more than 2 minutes time to dock a carrier. I have enough time to accidentally click on the network mode and actually wait out long enough to turn it off and basically dock. So having an alt scout watching the pipe down road, basically watching the entry to your home, is a good idea, especially if you're flying something quite expensive. And one of the things that you can also do, actually I think I'll explain the other thing a bit later in a different video, since it does require some different tactics that you can do, but there's definitely a lot of ways on how you can keep your ship, your friend's ship, your corp ship, and alliance ships safe by using alts to scout the. Now I'm not talking about the bots. No, I'm talking about a player that keeps watch on a different device that keeps looking at the local. I do that with my alt. I have my main account on my phone. I have my alt on the tablet, and when I do something with a carrier, when I do something with any ship in our space, in our home space, I do have the tablet at one side and my phone at the other side, and I scout with my tablet. Basically, I look at the local, and I can see the whole traffic. I can see who's coming in, who's coming out. Basically, I have eyes, and That's how I make sure that we don't get surprised. So far, we've been working really well. 100% effectiveness, 100% efficiency. Haven't messed up a single time. So that's one of the ways on, you know, approaching the current. I mean, it's in a way kind of common sense to have some safety measures when you are flying expensive ships. You don't want to be surprised. Definitely, you don't want to be surprised. Have I been surprised sometimes in the past? Maybe once or twice. Not in soft space, of course, but in other cases I have been surprised. But lately not really. I mean, only. I mean, even when I got, even when I when the bug, it's actually a bug, by the way, in a wormhole when you get randomly decloaked. Even when that happened, I wasn't surprised. I expected it. I actually expected that ship to die. I just should have just turned around and just not go in, because when my sixth sense kicks in, it's dead on. So I trust my sixth sense a lot. And even when I trust it, there are moments where I don't listen to it, and usually when I don't listen to it, that's when something bad happens. So if you have the feeling that something is off, if you have the feeling that there might be a trap somewhere, or if you have the feeling that there might be a bug about to happen, usually trust your feeling and just dock the ship, or just avoid the current scenario that you're in. That's just what I can tell you from my personal experience, because usually the sixth sense that we get is usually correct. That's just the brain recognizing patterns that happened in the past, and it basically alerts you that if you proceed forward, if you go through that gate, if you go through that wormhole, you will die. That's just what your brain tells you in these cases. Or who knows, perhaps even it has some metaphysical applications, like your mind seeing the future or something. Like it's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible. Could be. So that's just some of the little things that I know are happening quite often, and I can tell you my sixth sense was sharp, really sharp when I was flying like kid. I could smell danger from across the region. There were a couple times where there have been hostile fleets. Kind of funny how a lot of hostile fleets started to. Actually, not really sure if I. Yeah, let's just not talk about that, because kind of funny when you think about it. But there has been some fleets that tried to find and kill me basically in the game. They tried to kill my ships basically. They failed because they got spotted right on time, and I actually did smell the fleet before the first scout saw them. It was kind of funny how that happens, but it's a true story. It is a true story. So, the Megathron Navy. You know, I have no idea what Navy ship I'll fly. I have absolutely no idea what I'll fly. No clue. I like the Megathron Navy. I love it. It's a fantastic ship. I like the Raven Navy. I also like the Tempest Navy, and I also like the Apocalypse Navy. So, which one of these ships am I going to fly? That's the 1 trillion ISK that's the 1 trillion ISK question. I think I'm still kind of leaning towards the Tempest or Raven Navy, but at the same time also really like the Megathron Navy. It's a really good ship. So yeah. We'll definitely keep you guys updated on my next ship decision. I might even buy a carrier in the meantime. I mean, I have the ISK for it. I definitely have the ISK for it. I'm still in the process of building a lot of blueprints. Building a lot of rigs that I will sell. So, depending on how things go, I might just end up buying multiple of these ships and a capital. I have no idea. In the end, it all depends on how things go, since you know me, I don't really I like to think things through from start to finish and basically have a concrete plan how I do things. I don't like to just yeet my isk around. I really plan things throughout from start to finish, and I have everything mapped out. So usually have everything mapped out. So that's what I'm currently doing. I'm basically mapping things out to see what works, what doesn't work, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and then from there on I'll even create a build. So when I do get the ship, I already have the build for it. I will already have everything basic for it. So that's just how I do things in Eve. Has to be planned. Has to be every module, every drone, every rig has to have its specific place on the ship, and it has to have its specific purpose that will benefit the ship the most. So with that being said, was a very nice, chill little run with the Megathron Navy. Again, this ship is just awesome. This build that's the ship came with is awesome. The idea behind it is awesome. And did I enjoy flying it? Oh yes, I did. It is a very enjoyable ship. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.